From Lalate News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on Lalate.
It's a big midday, live from Santa Monica with incredible update about your fourth stimulus check of 2021 and news of the addition of potentially $25,000 of checks on top of all the recon that we've been talking about so far. Oh my goodness. In this recording, we'll go over the breaking news as another item is being proposed to be added to the clusters that have passed a $3.5 trillion recon 2 weeks ago. And 3 clusters of checks in there, like hazard pay. And then cluster number 2, like home repairs. And cluster number 3, like money for seniors. I have a world exclusive about where the Medicare age drop will be reduced to. But now we're hearing that one item will be added in there as no items coming out. And this item could be $25,000 of checks to you up front. Boy, this is a biggie. Meantime, what are the changes that are going on the back end? Then the breaking news about those IRS stimulus checks as Bernie Sanders' office follows up with a view of this channel. It's deliciousness. Chuck Schumer's office telling to Debbie Applegate going into the weekend, he's doing a monthly stimulus check provision in there. And remember what? He votes last. The Senate votes last. That's incredible details in a recording which we'll be going over fifth stimulus as well. We'll be going over why the president's popularity rating is dropping very dramatically and now why Democrats need to get a very big win. We'll be going over debt forgiveness, student loan debt forgiveness, more money coming back. We have a big update about this one. We haven't heard about this one in a while, and we got this stimulus. Boy, a lot going on. $25,000 student loan debt forgiveness, Medicare age drop-in. Wow, what a big noontime. It all happens right here, right now, as Noontime LA kicks up its feet. Hey, good noontime, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the states. Hope the weather is good where you are. Jump on my IG live, my IG feed. You can see some pictures of me at the beach yesterday. It has been gorgeous here. Cold, freezing at night, and warm during the day. So otherwise, gorgeous across the board. In this recording, we go over the incredible details as $25,000 of checks could be added to this recon. A new proposal coming out today. This is addition to cluster number 1, 2, and 3, which are now part of that $3.5 trillion recon passed 2 weeks ago. Then all items staying in there and everything not getting reduced, but are they? We'll go over all the changes that are being proposed, and the changes that are being proposed to be added. Monthly stimulus checks. We'll be cutting back to student loan debt forgiveness. A big surprise about this that no one saw coming. It's deliciousness. It's brand new today. Meantime, the president's approval ratings falling dramatically. Why? I'll tell you why, and it has to do with the inversion of this channel, the reverse of this channel. It's shocking, and it's coming up today. And we got more about this as well, and this is Noontime. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible channel where you're hearing all the broad coverage, all the detailed coverage, and every check coverage of what's in this recon. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. 2 weeks ago, the president had a big win when that House subcommittee passed your $3.5 trillion recon. Broadcast media didn't cover it. Print media didn't cover it. And no YouTube channel ever knew it occurred. And guess what? This has been a big coverage issue on this channel. I've been going over every check, and in this recording, I got another new check, $25,000. But this is why they believe the president's approval rating is sinking, because no one knows what's in this recon. Except you. Let's go over all those clusters of checks, and let's go over the breaking details and those IRS stimulus checks, starting first with cluster number 1. passed. $3.5 trillion recon passing with hazard pay and $4,000 for elder care in there. They got a hazard pay in there with the earned income tax credit, broaden the eligibility of the old tax code called the earned income tax credit, and increasing the amount of payments so that you get up to, that more essential workers would qualify for it. Then up to $4,000 a year for elder care, up to $4,000 a year for young children's care. They got money in there for home repairs if you live in a low-income community. Free money to make those home repairs. Then they got money in this first cluster for students to the university or to the student directly, and the Pell Grant made tax-free. They got $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks with the CTC, the child tax credit, broadened. Up to $300 every month, every year for up to 18 years per child if that household is low income. That's $51,000 a child. Then they got money in there for bikes, cars, and trucks, all electric and all U.S. auto manufactured. Up to 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike, $7,500 for a new electric vehicle, personal use, a little bit more for business use, and a little bit more for a truck. But what's going on with the second and third cluster? I'm going to cut to those in a second. But first, the exciting details of a $25,000 check. Yes, breaking at noontime is a new piece of legislation that they're trying to add to the recon. And it's not one person that's trying to add it, it's three. Maxine Waters, California, Raphael Warnock, Georgia, and Sharon Brown, Ohio, have proposed an addition to the recon that would be a check up to $25,000. It's a check. It's up front. It's literally a check of $25,000 to purchase a new house. Wow, this is a big game changer. A check up front to you to go out and buy a new home. Who would be this for? Anyone that's a brand new first-time home buyer. Now, on the other side is a competing piece of legislation from Ron White, and one I don't like this legislation as much. This is $15,000, but of tax credit, so it's on the back end. There you go. More about this in a second. $25,000 on top of everything else. Now, everything in this recon, in these three clusters, gets the viewers of this channel at least $15,000. So you're looking at least $15,000 in these three clusters. Let's get to the second cluster of checks, and it starts with home repairs and also paid leave. These are more home repairs and paid leave. Well, guess what? Everything in this recon is for Americans. Republican, Democratic, rich, poor, single. It has nothing to do with COVID. It has nothing to do with just parents. You all qualify for it, and you're looking at about $15,000 I can get you from this recon so far. So in the second cluster, our home repair, our family and medical leave. How much does it pay? A lot. Up to $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year under third stimulus. Use that same calculation, $35,000 a year, split in half, that would be $800 a week. Then $400 a week if you make $15,000 more per year. What is paid family leave? You have to stay at home because your wife is pregnant. You have to stay at home because your son broke his leg. Then they got money in there for childcare programs. They got household tax credits, and they got money for seniors like dental, vision. More about that in the third cluster. And they got checks in there to weatherize the home. Huge free checks to weatherize the home. Let's say fire or tornado or hurricane, checks to repair the home, to keep it weatherized. Definitely need it to weatherize the home, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. As I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. There we go. We got other checks in this second cluster like free pre-kindergarten and tuition-free community college. Definitely needed for anyone who says, I don't know what the world Lalate saying. Now you can take the class called What the World's Lalate Saying 101. You can be now fluent in the foreign language called Los Angeles. There we go. In a second, we're going to go to the third cluster of checks, but what is Congress doing? Well, we got a date. Nancy Pelosi and the President of the United States represent the vote on your recon will be by October 31st, Halloween. Now, notice I said the word by very strongly. By. over the weekend, everyone kept on removing my preposition from the sentence. So they kept on saying, you said on Halloween. How can they vote on Halloween? It's Sunday and they'll be in costume. Like they're never in costume. Have you seen that San Francisco hairstyle? There you go. It's by Halloween. Now, this is huge. We got 20 days to get this to the finish line, and I'm going to go over more about this in a second, but time for that third cluster of checks. And this third cluster of checks passed in that $3.5 trillion recon 2 weeks ago. Here we go. And you got a world exclusive on this one coming up in just a second. Checks for seniors and free internet. In this third clusters are free school meals for all, checks, cheaper prescription medication, checks, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers, checks for seniors, like dental checks, vision, hearing, and lowering the Medicare eligibility age. And that is our world exclusive right now. A viewer speaking to Bob Casey's office hears that the age that Medicare will be dropped to will be from 65 down to 60. You're hearing it for the first time at noontime on LA. And there you go. Two of the checks in this third cluster the president particularly likes, and I like because they're instant savings to you. First, cheaper prescription medication. They're going to cut the price of prescription medication so you'll instantly save more money in your wallet the next day. Let's say you go to the pharmacist today and you say, hello, Mr. Pharmacist, I have a horrible headache. Do you have something for that? Oh, what's wrong, Lalate? Have you been listening to the moderate Democrats too much? Yes, sir. That's exactly what's been going on. Do you have something for that, sir? I do, Lalate. Seats for stimulus. I appreciate, Mr. Pharmacist, you're watching the channel. I want a prescription. Then that's $40. Take two $20 bills out of your wallet. After this becomes law, you may only have to take one $20 bill out of your wallet and instant savings. Then they're going to give free internet. Free internet to, they're going to give big money to cities across the country so that they can offer free internet to you. All you have to do is say, what's the username and password? The username is Mitch Lobster Sauce, and the password is $12 ice cream, overpriced. There we go. In a second, we'll be going over more about these clusters, but let's go right into the exciting details about that IRS monthly stimulus check. A new report coming out today says that the president's approval rating is falling dramatically very quickly. And the reason why they say it is because Americans don't know what is in this recon coming up. They don't even know it exists. And this is what Bernie Sanders' office has been praising you and praising me. A new report says, has a series of analysts out today, says the president has not got out to the message of what's in this recon. Longwell, who's an analyst, says nobody knows what's in it. Another person whose name is strategist Simon Rosenberg said the president's decline is alarming. It's very serious. The reason why is because Americans don't know what's in the recon. When the $3.5 trillion recon passed on that House floor 2 weeks ago, broadcast media never covered it, print media never covered it, and YouTube channels didn't even know it existed. And you see just now, and I'm leading with the new $25,000 provision to add for free money, literally checks in your hand to go out and buy a house. Who's covering that on broadcast media? You never hear it. Meantime, student loan debt forgiveness, breaking news about this as well, as student loan debt forgiveness is getting extended. First, we already know that student loan debt forgiveness has now been offered to people who became disabled. Then, new just a few days ago, student loan has now been forgiven for anyone who went into nonprofit work or government work for over 10 years. Your debts have now been forgiven. And now the president's now saying today he'll forgive at least 10%, $10,000 of student loan debt, exactly, at least $10,000. Still pushes underway for the $50,000. Well, those IRS stimulus checks are much the same. Those IRS stimulus checks prompted a lot of breaking details over the weekend. Let's understand where we are. We have a recon. That is not a bill. That is in the subcommittee of a House. It's a package. And everyone is trying to add stuff in there. And going into the weekend, a wonderful analyst talked about the situation, and her name is Lisa Rice, President and CEO of the National Fair Housing Alliance, and she said that we have all these coalitions of industry groups beating down the door of the White House to add stuff to the recon. Sound like someone? Yeah, sounds like us. Purple Power. We've been beating down the legislators' offices to get a monthly IRS stimulus check provision in there. And 1 million phone calls have now been lodged at Bernie Sanders' office in D.C. from Lalate viewers advocating for that stimulus check provision. Multiple thousands of viewers have now been told by no less than a dozen legislators that they're adding that stimulus check provision in there. But where would they add it in there, and how would they add it in there? We have a recon, not a bill yet. So next step would be there would be a bill, a House bill, introduced to the House floor. If it doesn't have it in there, the House members can still change the bill before they vote on it, and then they vote on it. Still not in there? The senators would vote last during a 2-day event called a vote-a-rama. That vote-a-rama is a 2-day event that is led by which senator? Chuck Schumer. And what does Chuck Schumer determine? He determines what is called for a vote during that 2-day vote-a-rama to change what's ever given to them from the House. I don't like what's in this from the House. I want to change something. Who determines what vote goes first? Chuck Schumer. Who determines what is added? Chuck Schumer. And which senator last Friday, his staff, yet again, said he's adding a monthly stimulus check provision in there? Chuck Schumer. Yes, this is huge. Here we go. Chuck Schumer's staff tells Debbie Applegate going into last weekend that his office will be adding a monthly stimulus check provision. This is not unusual because Donnie's wife was told the same message the week before. This is a biggie because Chuck Schumer has your protection on the back end because they go last. Now, if you missed the breaking news over the weekend, this is what a top aide from Bernie Sanders' D.C. office said to a viewer. Now, what you're going to see is a writing from the viewer to me describing the conversation with Bernie Sanders' top aide in D.C. This is not a secretary. This is not a staffer. This is not someone who picks out the purple shirts for the host. This is a top aide in Bernie Sanders' office. The top aide told a viewer this channel that as of Friday, Bernie Sanders' office in D.C. had received 1 million calls from Purple Power and the Lalate viewers. The advocacy is making waves through Congress's halls and the Senate halls because this is the first time that many Senate offices and their officials and their elected officials and their staffers have truly ever heard from the people. And now they not only have heavy hearts, but a renewed sense of urgency to get help out so it's so needed for the good work. Our advocacy has been strong and so heartfelt and polite, and not just for ourselves, but also for the big communities. And this is big, as those legislators say they're adding it in there. I'll have all these details and more as a big Noontime LA continues. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. We got more about this coming up. See you in the final 15 minutes of this video. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the excitement continues right now at noontime, live from Santa Monica. Incredible great news as an additional $25,000 is being proposed to be added to that recon direct checks to you. I have all the latest details on that. More back to that student loan debt forgiveness. I saw some great questions and comments during the commercial break. We'll be going back to that voting date. I saw some great questions about that as well during the commercial break. And then those monthly IRS stimulus checks. So much happening at noontime. Then we'll be cutting over the fifth stimulus. We'll be cutting over the big money that you can get still under third stimulus. I'm going to show you how to go into the week with big money in your wallet. And we're going to go over that and more. It's a lot coming up in a big recording, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Stay with this video. Coming up next is Afternoons Lalate at 1 o'clock. Then we got a big Afternoons Lalate show at 3 o'clock. More with that $25,000 check. Then a big new Evenings Lalate at 5, and then shows at 6, 7, and more. So subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Let's get to all that exciting details that's unfolding. First, back to the exciting details as competing legislation is now being proposed to add $25,000 of checks into the recon on top of what's in there. This would be a direct check to you of up to $25,000 to go out and buy a house. Only qualifications, first-time home buyer. Huge, really big, huge. Second, the president's under fire because a series of new reports today say his poll ratings are falling dramatically because he cannot get out to the American people what is in the recon. Well, this has been critical because this is what Sanders' office has said you and me have done so well. Sanders' office has been very emphatic about it's important for Americans to know what's in the recon. And they have been so impressed that you have been so informed what is in the recon, what is not in the recon, what should be in the recon, that when you call up, you have been advocating. It's important to understand how the landscape looks in these final 20 days. We have a lobbyist, like Rice says in that quote, fighting to get things in the recon. We have congressional leaders, like Maxine Waters, fighting to get $25,000 in there for those home buyers. Then we have legislators who are fighting to protect stuff that are in recon. Maxine Waters has $300 billion of rent money. Yeah, that's a lot already in the recon. Third stimulus had $47 billion. This is $300 billion. It's an astronomical number. So she's fighting to keep it in there. Everyone is pushing and fighting to get something in there. And that's why your advocacy looks so wonderful. Sanders' office says, we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen anything like what Lalate has done, what the Purple Power is doing. Because generally when they're contacted, these legislators, they're contacted by professional lobbyists that work for the airlines or work for the restaurant union. You are representing Americans. You are Republicans, you are Democrats. You are in red states, you are in blue states. You are married, you're single, and you all are advocating so well that 1 million of your calls have now been logged. They're using those as they now represent, they're adding that stimulus check provision in there. Let's go over everything you need to know as we go into these final days, starting right now. It was 8 weeks ago I said, pick up the phone and advocate. Advocate for your inclusion of those stimulus checks. WR did. He picked up the phone and called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's old confidant, advocated for that inclusion. And WR heard from Chris Coons' staff, yes, they're putting in a monthly stimulus check, said Coons' staff to WR. 3 weeks ago, he saw this channel really pick up. Broadcast media, print media, YouTube channels not covering what's really in this recon. Me going over excruciating detail. And at that time, I told you, one, exclusive, that the House would write the legislation in the subcommittee. They did. Sheila Jackson, the number 2 in the Progressive Party, she's the person who actually wrote it. Number 2, that they would vote on it in the subcommittee first. They did that Saturday 2 weeks ago with Sheila Jackson in the middle of the night, passing it. Number 3, that the Senate will vote last. That's key because of the vote-a-rama. And one viewer in the comments said just a second ago, is when Nancy says by October 31st, what does that mean? I've gotten that question a lot the last 2 days. My response is, I can never interpret anything Nancy says. Whatever is what it is whatever she said. I don't know what she means. So I can just say, she's saying there will be a vote, and she's the House representative. She's not a senator. So just take it for what it is. No way to really interpret what she means when she says something. So Bernie Sanders is an important part of the equation. And I said, he is critical. And he made that big quote 3 weeks ago. As a budget chairman, I like to get amongst the people when I'm doing a recon. I said that means he wants to hear from you. He wants to hear from you. Pick up the phone and advocate. And Brother Joshua did. Lynn Glenn did, and Margaret did that 3 weeks ago. And all three, when they advocated, were told that a monthly stimulus check is going in there. Now let's go over what advocacy is and what is not advocacy. What is advocacy? Advocacy is telling your story with a series of sentences that all have periods at the end of the sentence, not question marks. I need it because. It may be because of your financial situation, your medical situation, your family, your business situation. Everyone has a unique story. That's what Sanders' office tells the aide tells the viewer on last Friday. They've never seen people so well prepared in voicing their advocacy. Came from me explaining to you, tell your story. When a staffer hears you call in, they don't know your town, they don't know your community, but they can relate to your story. You just got divorced, you just broke your leg, you lost your business, your town is shut down, your community, your church, whatever the situation. When they hear that advocacy, they can remember it. And that's what you need to do. Now, what is not advocacy? Asking only questions. Am I getting a check? Is the check in there? How much is a check? When is a check coming? Is a check blue? Is a check green? Is a check for you? Is a check for them? That's not advocacy. That's Dora the Check Explorer. Just asking a lot of questions. Doesn't get anyone anywhere because you're not advocating for anything. You're just looking for something. And what you're battling against are people who are trying to get $25,000 in there for home purchases. You have people battling in there to keep $300 billion for rental aid in there. Everyone's battling to get something in there. You need to advocate. And that's what Brother Joshua, Lynn Glenn, and Margaret did 3 weeks ago. And they picked up the phone, and boy, did they advocate. Brother Joshua is a 2020 volunteer at the community page, longtime viewer in Purple Hawk. Hope you're a viewer member as well. He picked up the phone and advocated to Sanders' office, and Sanders' office said yes. $1,000 or $1,300, 3 to 6 months is what Sanders will propose. But he needs to hear from you. And I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And that is when everyone started really doing an incredible job. You're going to see a series of screen grabs shortly right now that are either from comments on the channel or in private message on social media. It started with Donnie. You met Donnie's wife just a second ago. Here's Donnie. Donnie picked up the phone and advocated to Bernie Sanders' office and wrote, I called. I said, I need it. My city needs it. I need it to progress. I need it for my water and everything. And Sanders' office said they're going to give a forced stimulus check. Hurricane Tina picked up the phone and advocated. And Sanders' office told her, going to get it. Caroline writes, I said to Sanders' office, people are losing their homes and what they got. And Bernie agreed. Bernie's putting in a stimmy check as well. And here's Yaya, who picked up the phone and called Ron Wyden's office, advocated for that and SS200. And Wyden's office saying, yes, it's going in there. It's at that point I told viewers, you need to tell your story to as many offices of Congress as you can. Janice, who I think is in live chat right now, bless her heart, she has made a gazillion calls. I think over 6 offices she's called. Here's Will. He called 3 offices. He called Bernie, Chuck, and Schumer, and Liz Warren. This is what Will writes. He says, I called Bernie, Liz, and Schumer, and all 3 of their secretaries confirmed stimulus check. I told my situation and how a stimulus check would help and make a huge impact. Liz Warren said, her office said $1,400 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. Here's Lorica, who got Bob Casey's office on the phone. They say they're doing it, and there you go. By that point, thousands of viewers had advocated. Now it's over a million to Bernie Sanders alone. And those thousands and thousands of viewers were told by Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, and Wyden that they're putting it in there. Then I said, go over to the House side. And you did with AOC and Omar and Jalapal and advocate over there as well. And also Pelosi. Mark called up Pelosi's office, advocated, and Pelosi's office said, yes, going to do it, $1,000 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. And that is what advocacy looks like. And it continued through even Friday when Debbie called last Friday to Schumer, Sanders, and Warren and was told by all 3, and especially Schumer, that they're putting a stimmy check in there. What's important to understand is that this is the situation. We got a big recon past 3.5 trillion. People are trying to battle to take stuff out. People are trying to battle to add stuff in. Legislators are trying to put 2 or 3 things in. Everyone's pushing for something. So if you advocate in the month of September, advocate now as well. It's down to the very last minute where everyone is advocating for something. So don't let up. Now let's go over what's going on with the mechanics of the recon, because it's very important. We have a recon that has things in there and they're adding stuff to it, but are they taking anything out? Last week, the progressives all emphatically said nothing is coming out, everything's staying in there, and nothing is getting reduced. And that the only thing where changes are taxes or duration. Let's go over both of those things right now. First, all last week, the progressives said 3.5, we can still get into the 2 trillion range without taking any program out and without watering down any program. Will they say that this week? We'll see. But Maxine Waters, who's a progressive out of LA, thinks that's not the case. She thinks things may get taken out or reduced. She has $300 billion of rent money in there compared to third stimulus, which was $47 billion. She's worried it's going to get removed or watered down. So everyone's battling to get stuff kept in there. Next, there's 2 ways they can make changes to get it from 3.5 trillion into the $2 trillion range without taking out a program or watering it down. Number 1, duration change, and number 2, taxes. First, duration change. I said at the start of last week they can change the duration of the programs and not modify the programs whatsoever. And then 2 days later, John Paul said the same thing. How did I get that right? It was an easy one to predict this one because Bernie did this at the very beginning. Before we had a recon, Bernie met with the senators, the Democrats, and said, I want to do a recon. Oh, you do, Bernie? How big? 7 trillion. Never going to do it. Give us another number, Bernie. 3.5 trillion. Okay, done. Deal. How did Bernie get from 7 to half that number, 3.5, and get all his programs at 100%? He cut the duration, he explained. He brought in how many years the programs run, less number of years. Very, very simple concept. So let me show you how they do that again to get from 3 to somewhere in the 2s. I'm going to use examples of numbers. This is not how it actually happens, but I'm just using an example of numbers to make it very simple. Let's say Bernie went into that meeting for 7 trillion, asking for 20 years of the program. Let's say $4,000 of care for the elderly, 20-year program. They said, no, we're not doing 7 trillion. So he said, okay, we'll do it for 10 years of the program, split the program in half. We'll still do $4,000 a year to care for the elderly, but it'll be a 10-year program. Deal, done. Now they're at 3.5 trillion. They need to get down further. How do they do it again? Cut the duration again, bring it from 10 years to 5 years. So $4,000 a year to care for the elderly over a 5-year program, not a 10-year program. Suddenly you go from 3.5, cut it in half, 1.7. Every moderate Democrat is going to agree to 1.7 tomorrow morning. Done. Very simple. Now let's look at the taxes. This one's a little bit more complicated. Why? They want to raise corporate taxes and billionaires' wealth tax to close what they call corporate tax loopholes. Well, they're worried that if they bring the recon down to a smaller number, that maybe they won't close those tax loopholes. Very, very peculiar situation across the board. All right, here's what you need to know is that the president with these falling poll numbers understands that Americans don't understand what's in the recon. Number 2, that the situation is very much in flux for this recon. So over the next 20 days, understand legislators say things, but they can always change their mind. So with all these legislators promising to do things for you, they're also promising to get the other things in there and protect their own items. So need to advocate until we get over the finish line. Let's turn now to the surprise of third stimulus, which has so much more money going out there. I'm going to show you how to start this week with 0 and end this week with money in your pocket. And several weeks ago, 3 viewers started with 0. By the middle of the week, 3 got 40,000. By the weekend, 1 continued, and he got 7 items from this channel, $80,000. His name is Johnny. Last week, Prina started this channel with $0 as a viewer. She ended the week with $6,000 for rent from the city of Austin. So get that pen, paper, cell phone ready. We get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and I got more money for you coming up shortly thereafter. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. If they have different eligibility, reach out. They have different eligibility. So if one says no, reach out to the next one. They also have different pots of money. Here are the 6 places you reach out to for the rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And the key words you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. And there you go. Here are the numbers that viewers are getting that were getting a month ago for rent on this channel. They went from $20,000 from Nisi all the way up to $27,000 for Elizabeth, Purple Hawk. Hope you remember as well. Now the numbers are upwards of $40,000. Second, before you reach out for the rent, I want you to open that newsletter for members of this channel and read the statement from Treasury about the additional $13 billion. That's what Prina did. And Prina went from $0 to $6,000 in 1 week from this channel, 5 days from this channel. She got her rent approved by the city of Austin last week because I said, read the statement about the money from Treasury before you reach out to your cities and state. Next, reach out to all utility companies. So if you got 5, reach out to 5. And here are the numbers for utilities a month ago. Now viewers are getting $15,000 for utilities. Wow. Mark's brother-in-law, $15,000. Then I want you to get SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from the Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them. Eligibility for SNAP is easier than a stimulus check. Everyone's benefits for SNAP are going up an average of 25% lifetime automatically nationwide starting October. You know, it was on Morning Lalate. I didn't want to start putting people on timeout or whatever. There were some people that are posting all this nonsense that the 15% increase, the 25% increase for SNAP is only for this and only for that. Please, it's absolutely not true. Everyone's benefits are going up an average of 25% a lifetime automatically every state starting in October. Next, I want you to get multiple combo items. Here are the people who got $32,000. Mark got $50,000. Lorraine, $100,000. She's getting to almost $120,000 since this graphic was made. Finally, the nonprofits. The nonprofits are great. Get that pen and paper ready because I got 5 nonprofits for you as well. They're featured in the newsletter as well. The first thing about the nonprofits is eligibility. If you've reached out to the 6 places with the city and the federal and the state government and you have an eligibility problem, then reach out to all 5 nonprofits. They have different eligibility because they're nonprofits. Here they are: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. The nonprofits do the same items generally under third stimulus. They just do different eligibility, and they're still doing this money. They'll be doing this money all the way for the rest of this year. Next, the nonprofits also do items that are not in any stimulus package, like they do homeless people into shelters, clothing for people in need, sometimes small appliances. They've gotten viewers of this channel, small furnaces, small portable heaters, small refrigerators, window repairs. Yes, they do different things that the federal government doesn't do. So reach out to the nonprofits. Here they are again: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul. Next, the unemployment benefits. First, refund check back from your state due to computer error and overpayment. It's landing there. Every payment is anywhere from about $2,000 to $5,000. Reach out to state to track it. And then the refund check from IRS due to payment on those unemployment benefits. The 2020 return, yes. Average payment is about $1,200 to $2,000. You can go to irs.gov to do a transcript search. Average viewers like Margaret, Cod, and Michael have gotten the money. If you've gotten the money, post in the live chat right now. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? This is what's important to understand, is that when third stimulus was passed in the spring, I said I can get you $15,000. I got on average viewers about 40,000 and more. Fourth stimulus, as we're looking at fourth stimulus right now in these final days, I believe I can get most viewers about $15,000 on the fourth stimulus. So how do you get this money? By becoming a member. Read that newsletter. It comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system and the LA alert system. It details all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus. And as soon as fourth becomes law, everything in there as well. It's important to understand that you can start this week at 0 and end the week at a lot more. 30,000, 40,000, 80,000. This is big money available for you. We talk about financial independence on this channel, and financial independence starts like Prina did, picking up the phone and calling and get these big sums of money. Now let's turn back over to fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus heats up in just a few weeks. They're hoping to get this done by December. Let's hope they do. Fifth stimulus is the SSI and SSDI reform. First, they're going to raise your benefits up one time if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, or multiple benefits. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark is inflation. Boy, how time has changed. It was in September that I said 5% inflation by December. Everyone else saying he's crazy. Now everyone says it may already be 5% inflation. Also, I was reporting it's transitory, meaning it's going to be temporary. Now they're saying it's not going to be temporary. It may stay that way for a while. So this is huge because once they raise your benefits up, then they apply a new benchmark. If the benchmark's 5%, then you go up another 5%, not just next year, but lifetime. They're going to move the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 on hand. It's going to go away. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. It's going to go away. And the marriage penalties are going to end. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest like Rob and Sandy and no longer lose the marriage penalty. And there you go. That's fifth stimulus. That's third stimulus. And here we go back into fourth stimulus. Fourth stimulus is really heating up. As we go into these final days, this is what you need to know. You got a $3.5 trillion recon, not a bill, a package. And one person, I think on the morning's show today said, when do I see the bill? Oh boy, you don't want to say that. You don't want to be looking for a bill. You need to understand the process, which is package, then House floor, bill, then can modify the bill, then Senate, Votorama can modify what they got from the House. A lot of places to change things. Don't be tracking things like Dora the Bill Explorer. Don't be Dora the Check Explorer, and don't be Dora the Bill Explorer, because you want to push. You see what's going on is that everyone is trying to keep what is in the recon there, not water it down. Everyone that doesn't have something in the recon is trying to get it added to the recon, pushing and lobbying. And you are the viewers against lobbyists who are trying to get their individual items in there as well. Very big push. And if you made the phone calls in September, make the phone calls in October. The tow truck, the recon procedural, has passed over the finish line. They've passed that recon. It's law. The tow hitch, recon substantive, passed in a subcommittee of the House, but not law yet. That tow hitch is attached to the tow truck. There are other tow trucks on that highway trying to go over the finish line and cut in front of you. Don't let them. Get in the driver's seat of that tow truck. Drive the tow truck over the finish line. And with that, coming up next is a big 1 o'clock afternoon show. Then we got the new afternoon show at 3 o'clock, a big new evening show at 5. Then the new hit show, Evening's Countdown, at 6 o'clock. Stream Sinless at 7 o'clock, Sirloin at 8 o'clock, and then our overnight shows at 9, 10, and 11:30. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused. Look forward to seeing you next on Afternoons Lalate, and we got more updates coming up later at 3 o'clock with the student loan debt forgiveness and this $25,000 for direct cash to buy a home. It's all coming up today on Lalate.